Good morning, Methuen community. My name is Dean Brouder. I'm the Drug and Alcohol Resource Coordinator for Methuen Public Schools, and we are airing or showing or taping our second to last show of the school year, and I have a guest that I just met. Unfortunately, we have shared a very similar experience. The goal of this show, and it varies from show to show, but we're trying to create awareness for our community that even though 99% of our children are healthy, 99% of our children are doing the next right thing, 99% of our children are in a good place, there is a percentage of our children, your son, daughter, grandchild, doesn't matter. And that's what we're going to talk about today, that it really doesn't matter when it comes to substance abuse or even death. It sounds like a morbid discussion, and it has to be. But today we have a person who reached out, found our website, we talked briefly, and he has a story to share, and it's personal. And it's very hard to get up and speak in front of a group of people and share your experience. But unless we share our histories, that families left behind are left alone. And while the focus is on prevention, that's the key note, prevention. Stop the kids, help the kids before they get a taste of drugs and alcohol, before they get into the pool of drugs. There are so many families out there that are suffering with live addiction, with people who will utterly impact the family, and that's what we have today. So I apologize for the long intro. Eric, very nice to meet you today, and you have a story to tell us here in Methuen. I appreciate you driving in the rain to come and talk about someone that was dear and near to you.
Yes.
So welcome, Eric, to the show.
Thank you, Dean, and I appreciate you having me here too. Appreciate you taking the time and letting me come on the show to tell my story.
Absolutely. So since we're talking about children and we're talking about families and how it's strange, why one family and not another, we're going to focus on the Daddario family.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about your brother and his name? Brendan. Okay. So you guys grew up in a typical Boston-based.
Yep. So
talk a little bit about that, the childhood and.
So growing up, as you said, 10 minutes north of Boston, lived in the suburbs. Parents have been married still to this day, 30 plus years.
Wonderful.
Had 4 kids, 4 boys, and loved to make us happy, did anything they could, so you could say didn't grow up almost in a broken home, put us in sports, best schooling, they just wanted the best for us.
Right.
And me and my younger brother, we were close growing up. I brought him into hanging out with my friends.
So your age difference was
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
So let's fast forward, since there was no major trauma in early childhood.
Yep.
There was no daddy in prison or anything like that. You're in high school. You have this great love for hockey.
Yes.
Tell us about that love for hockey and how that may have helped you stay out of going deeper into the pool.
So, a big theory of mine is your environment, the people you hang around with. And my brother would be hanging around with kids who were a lot of the times on the weekends, late at night at house parties, in the woods, drinking and smoking, at the park drinking and smoking, a lot of those times. Me, I would be at hockey practice when he was doing that. I would be at a game on the weekends. So when he didn't really have anything to do, when he could have, maybe been playing a sport or doing something recreationally, he was hanging around with these kids, just hanging out, just, as they say, drinking and smoking.
And I love the way you put it, because every kid that I deal with, especially now, especially with Massachusetts and Colorado and New Hampshire and this whole idea of the legalization of marijuana. Now, adults whatever. They did not think this thing out. They didn't realize the impact on the adolescents who are looking up, and like you said, your little brother was looking at older kids and we're just smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
Now, the marijuana today is different than the marijuana that I grew up with.
And so I say just smoking weed, okay? They don't, as you said, they don't think it's going to do anything to them.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't realize is what it can lead to.
You're right.
So as I said, he's just smoking marijuana and drinking. And then I can remember him saying to me, because my mother had caught him, and she wasn't very happy with him. And, as every parent probably does when they catch their kid smoking or, drinking, has a talk with them.
Yeah.
And I can remember hearing him say, Mom, it's not a big deal.
Right.
It's not going to kill me. It's only marijuana.
Everyone, Eric, everyone to a T that I deal with, because every kid that is under the influence or has caught with a little, or now they're talking to each other and some will come to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to marijuana, they are absolutely convinced. They're all lawyers, and they're their own doctor, and they're their own pharmacist. They believe that marijuana will not in any way open the door. Now, we don't use the word gateway anymore. And most people that use marijuana, I don't think end up putting a needle in their arm. Mm-hmm. But I've been in this world for 42 years, and I never met anyone who did heroin or fentanyl who didn't start off in the beginner's part of the pool. Start off smoking herb, smoking cigarettes in the 7th or 8th grade, drinking alcohol, which is the #1 drug of choice.
Yeah.
Now, you have him and you see him and you see some changes going on. While you're thinking of going, did you go off to prep school for hockey?
So I went off to prep school, and a big thing, I talked about environment a few minutes ago. My environment changed because now I'm not at home anymore.
Right.
I'm in New Hampshire, so I'm an hour and a half away. I live away, and a big goal of mine was I wanted to play hockey. My dream in the NHL.
You had a dream.
I did.
Right.
I had a dream.
Okay.
And so when they approached me, this prep school, I figured, well, this was the next step to that dream.
I'm going to get there, right.
So I accepted this offer to go to the prep school, and I played there.
Great.
And I was around kids that were, had the same drive mentality as me.
So drive is, I think dreams is something that you touched upon. And a lot of the kids who start to lose their way, and they may not read that well, or they may not have a dream, so to speak, because many times I'll ask them that. What is it that you want? And what 14-year-old kid really knows what they want? But some do. And the ones that have the dream seem to be more able to understand that in order to go for that dream, that certain behaviors will block them. The ones that don't seem to walk aimlessly. Like when I ask them, what are you good at? What do you love? They look at me like I'm speaking another language. And so I think the dream thing is very important for the young people to have like a goal. And it's, again, it's, if you don't have a dream or you don't have a goal or you don't have something that you love to do, you know what they love to do? A very small percentage is get high.
Yeah.
Because they're not comfortable in their own skin. Yeah. Now, did you notice that, or was he bravado? Was he like a tough guy that hid a lot of his anxiety and pain? Because those are the words that we keep hearing.
Yeah. So I think the big thing with him was wanting to be accepted.
Okay.
Okay. Started when he was going into high school, this all started, and everyone was doing it.
A lot of kids, yeah.
So he was like, all right, well, they're doing it. I want to do it too. He just, wants to fit in with the crowd, run with the crowd.
Okay.
Now, you may ask me, well, why weren't, because I was there those late nights, at the parties.
Yeah.
I was there in the woods with them at the park.
Yeah.
We hung out together.
Yeah.
But I wasn't drinking and smoking.
Yeah.
And I have always been used to being different. And you may ask me, well, why? And you just alluded on a few minutes ago. Growing up, I was in special ed classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wasn't, didn't really know how to read, write. I had a learning disorder. And growing up, people, would make fun of me and stuff, and that really hurt me.
It broke you. Yeah, that could have broken you.
Yeah,
that could have broken you.
It did.
Yeah.
And also, too, not too long after that, before I went to the prep school, I actually had an eye injury. And I'm unable till this day to see out of my right eye.
Okay.
So that's another obstacle I had to overcome. And when it first happened, my eye was very droopy, and people, again, would make fun of me and call me names, and that at first hurt me.
Brutal. Children can be
Yes,
brutal with each other.
Oh, yeah. Calling me Cyclops, one eye, Willie,
Nice.
you're ugly.
Yeah.
And emotionally, in high school, that's pretty big for a person, their emotions and how they feel about each other, and that really hurt me.
Yet, did your brother have any of the same
No.
issues? So, the one that wasn't called those terrible names, the one that didn't have the struggle, my son was very handsome. He didn't love school by any means.
Yeah.
But he was a good-looking boy, and on the outside, you'd never know. And looking back, Kevin, who works here, I had a conversation with his mother, and he said she was watching, and Kevin struggles and has to have, be in a wheelchair since he was born, just about. And as a young mother, she was losing it. She didn't know what to do and how to deal with a child who was disabled.
Yeah.
And she said she was watching this show, Oprah, and a little girl who was massively disfigured, scars melted her face. And she would talk about how kids would look at her and make fun of her. And this 6-year-old girl said, Oprah, some people's scars are on the outside and some are on the inside.
Yeah.
And that changed her mind. That affected her in such a way that she was able to get the strength as a single mother at times to bring up Kevin. And if you met Kevin, Kevin's usually here. He's a power of example.
Yeah.
So, your brother had some scars inside.
Yeah.
Kids that get into substance abuse have those scars. And we don't know why. But they're not comfortable in their own skin, and then they start to use some medication. We have children self-medicating. And that's probably, without knowing your brother, they share that common theme that on the outside, everything can look good.
Oh, man.
They can clean up. You said when he went to rehab later on.
Oh, my God.
All right, before we do that, let's talk about when you started to know, oh my God, this is not just smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
Where were we? What happened?
So, as I said, I went away
Yeah.
freshman year to college, high school.
Right.
So I wasn't around all the time.
Right.
I would come home for the summers.
Yeah.
Just like I was in college,
Sure.
same kind of thing, living away.
Yeah.
And there'd be some fighting with my mother
Yeah.
and him and my
Yeah.
dad and him. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I got to college, my sophomore year, I got a call from my mother, brutally crying. I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, it's Brendan. It's Brendan. And they didn't know it. They didn't know that
He was
using heroin.
using it.
And he had overdosed. And again, not knowing much about this, I'm just like, okay, well, just get into rehab.
Right.
They're like, just get into rehab
And
and it'll be good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what rehab's for.
Right,
Rehab
right.
is just supposed to
We'll cure
rehab
'em.
somebody and
Yeah.
they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that was her mentality too. We're trying to find a rehab, but we just want to let you know what happened and everything. So that was my sophomore year. Junior year, the big therapy, my mother, we would always talk about it. I think that was a way for her to deal with it, talking to me.
Absolutely. Thank God you were there for her.
And, there were ups and downs, and I would get a few phone calls like that. And then 2 years later, I graduate and I come home. And then I really saw
See the darkness.
what it was like. Because, again, not being educated, not knowing,
Right.
thinking, okay, well, he's doing drugs.
A lot of people do.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's going to fix this.
Yeah.
This is going to get fixed.
Yeah, it's he's going to go to rehab, it'll be good.
All right, then what happens?
And then,
Is he good for a day, a week, 2
so
weeks?
sometimes he goes to rehab, he comes back, And it's like, okay, he's back. Like, my brother's back.
Yeah, I have him back.
Yeah, he looks good. I like to say they revived him back to life.
Yeah.
He's got the smile.
Yeah.
He's got the he's
spirit.
Not, exactly. He's not pale anymore. He's
Yeah.
nice and tan.
Yeah.
My brother was always fit too.
Yeah.
When he's clean, always fit. Loved to
Yeah.
go to the gym,
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah.
And then maybe sometimes a week. Maybe sometimes a few days. Maybe sometimes the next day, a month, 2 months, 3 months. We'd notice the difference. And we're like, he's acting a little bit,
So the
I
lies
guess-
are starting to creep
Exactly.
in.
But you don't want to believe it.
Right.
He's been good for a month.
Right.
He's been good for 2 months.
Right.
No. Like, he went to rehab.
This time, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the effect, and we only have so much time, and I know just by the way you talk about him that you loved him dearly, and you love him now.
Yeah.
Because they're still alive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No sleep 2 nights ago for Mr. Brouder.
Yeah.
My son's been gone now 2 years, and the mind just races like squirrels in the head.
Think about him every day.
Every
day.
Every day. And I work in this world, so I'm dealing with little Matthews that may not even know where they're headed, and no matter what I say or I do, they're going, yeah, it's cool. I'm good. I'm just doing this. I'm just doing that. So as the family, how does Dad do? The parents, do they knock heads over this?
Yeah.
We should kick his arse. We should throw him out. We should get him into another rehab. It's his choice. He's got to go back and forth. How did it go?
So, for my parents, when you say that, he had been to a lot of rehabs.
Yeah.
Okay, different states,
Yeah.
different programs. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe this will work. My dad, Tony, my mom, Jane. So,
Yeah.
Tony would say to Jane, I think this will work. Let's try this.
Yeah.
He'd come back. As I said, he'd be good for a little bit.
Yeah.
He'd relapse. Okay, we need to do that. And it got to the point where my dad kind of had a different mentality than my mother on how to fix it. So yes, they would clash heads. So now not only is it affecting his life, but then it's affecting the family's life. So now, and I like to say, it's a hell on earth. Okay? It's a hell on earth, and if you don't go through it, if you're not someone who's an addict, or you're not someone who loves somebody who's going through it, you can talk about it, but you have no idea.
Freaking idea.
Okay? He just dragged the family, not on purpose. It's not his fault. Okay, as crazy as that may seem, it's not his fault. It's the drugs.
Right.
The drugs are making him lie. The drugs are making him steal from my parents. Steal checks to write him out to himself. Steal money. Steal jewelry. Stole my younger brother's communion chain.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
It's just like whatever he could do to get that feeling.
So it's almost the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You have one brother who's, when he's clean sober, has the spirit back, has some dreams. This time it's going to be different. There's hope.
Yeah.
And then after a while, the family starts to lose hope.
Yeah.
They start to get discouraged. They start to turn their back on safety. I used to be a surfer. I still surf on occasion.
Yeah.
If I'm out in the big waves and I see you thrashing, I'm going over to you.
Yep.
And you're panicking because the big waves are coming. I'm trying to help you, and it's like the drugs. You could take me down with you. And that metaphor of drowning with the addict
That's a great analogy.
is what I use, because we were drowning.
Yeah.
There are people right now that are watching this show that are drowning. They live in shame. Part of them wants to help, but part of them, when they reach out, are afraid because they've heard of these rehabs are popping up everywhere. Before there were none, now they're popping up everywhere, and then there's scams going on and money to be made. But the families are destroyed.
Yeah.
My wife of 35 years said, I lost my son twice. I felt I lost him when he got into live addiction, and then I physically lost him when that knock on the door came.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to fast forward,
No. Yep.
but I know that the family, and that's what we're talking about, your brother, you get mad, you want to kick his butt, you want to grab him and say, don't you understand?
And I've actually done that plenty of times.
And he's going, yeah, but, or this time I will, or you don't understand, or nothing. I give up. I can't do it. Or a lot of the young kids, they start to dig a hole. And the hole is so deep that without that substance, and they look up, and they see their brother going off to college, or in my case, my daughter going off to law school, and the hole is so deep, they say, I can't get out. If I just take this one little blue pill, I can breathe again. And now I'm not a piece of, I'm someone. I can breathe in my own skin.
Yeah.
And that vicious cycle, and addicts don't know. What 15-year-old boy says, I think I'll destroy my family this weekend. I think I'll keep them at home because they're afraid to leave because the house will be destroyed.
I always like to say, no kid on this earth,
Yeah.
daughter, son,
Yeah.
grows up saying, I can't wait to be an addict.
Right.
I want to be an addict.
Right.
It's not an ambition of theirs.
Yeah. And it happens, and you wonder why you, who, you can use them, they're all excuses. In recovery world, they'll say, they're all an excuse. You could have said, I was bullied, I was traumatized, and those are real experiences where you got hurt.
Yeah.
And the world around you was ugly.
Yeah.
Because people were turning on you.
Yeah.
Because of something that you physically had that you had no control over. But I tend to be a little softer on that there are people who really have experienced trauma in their life and they respond in a way that they know. Most of my kids that I deal with, they haven't seen their fathers. I can't imagine growing up in my world if I can't even trust my own parents.
Yeah.
How can I trust others? Or they're not helping me get in rehab because my father's in rehab. Or my father's in jail. And that's not typical of our population, but it doesn't matter. If there's one, if it's your boy that you go see, or your daughter. So again, it's not all doom and gloom, because let's go back for a minute, and we're jumping a little bit because that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
We have the SAD groups, like I said, chapters in each one of our grammar schools where there is a place to go, where there are popular teachers, where they want to have fun, but they don't want to use drugs and alcohol. So we don't have a lot of, we have people come in who are in recovery, we have people who, like this is the first show I think that we're focusing on the family, which is long overdue. But they found their own people. Yeah. And then they'll come up to high school and say, oh, you're a member of SAD. Now, it's very popular at the grammar school. At the high school, we get a lot of numbers, but sometimes they dwindle. They get picked off as they get older, because a lot of kids are into experimentation. And now we're talking about a generation whose parents have had drug issues. So early on, we said, we don't know what the answer is. And if I knew what the answer was, man, I'm not even talking about money.
They be coming from all over.
They're coming
different
from
countries,
everywhere.
Different countries.
And everyone says, especially if they're in recovery and they got into recovery through the 12-step modality, or this or that, they'll say, if you do it this way. I think for everyone, there's not just one test like we have. But let's now talk about mom and dad. How are they doing now?
All families deal with it differently. My family, I think one of the biggest things that has helped us as a group stay as positive as we can.
Okay, good.
Because I think that you never get over it.
No.
You never get over it. You just, I like to say, you learn to somehow live with it every day.
With it.
And one of the big things that's helped us is us helping others and giving back.
Good. Service.
Yes.
Love and service.
And our services, we've created a scholarship.
Nice.
Called the Brendan Daddario Scholarship Fund at Gosnold,
Nice.
which helps financially support others.
Good.
We're kind of almost continuing on his
legacy, his dream.
There you go. His dream. Awesome way to put it.
His dream.
Of helping others. Because one of the biggest things with him was why we feel like this happened to him was he just wanted to help others so much. I plenty of stories from his buddies who came up when he passed away, and they said, man, I can remember so many times your brother was in the car and I was driving, and he'd see somebody walking in the street struggling. And he'd say, stop the car, I gotta get out. And he'd help them.
Yeah.
So we have this scholarship, and we are raising money to help other people who are in my brother's situation,
Okay.
who we can relate to the families.
Sure.
Go through the recovery process to get into the detox financially.
Right.
Because, when you go to a detox, maybe you don't have the money or the insurance,
Right.
and they may not accept it.
That's
Then it's
right.
like, sorry, we can't take you.
Can't
So
take
what
you.
we do is, okay, well, how much to me? Here's the money. Here's the money. We don't want you just to push them away. And then we financially help them too when they go into the sober homes to pay to live there.
So there's a continuum of help. We have one of the
Exactly.
only, well, not the only, but I think one of the best haven of hope here in Methuen. It's an old Catholic church that's converted into sober living for women in recovery, and they've redone it, the rectory and whatever, and it's a beautiful place of dignity and grace, and women go there, and they get help sometimes
Yeah.
through scholarships. So his legacy will be that of love and service.
Yeah. And
Sure.
if I could say something,
Absolutely.
I want to talk about myself for a second.
Okay, good.
How this has affected me.
Good.
Okay. So at first, when everything happened,
Yeah.
why?
Why?
How? How? Because he was good for 2.5 years. He was clean for 2.5 years. And so that was the longest he was ever clean.
So you thought it finally
he's got it.
kicked.
He's got it. Like he finally got the message. It finally came through.
Yeah.
And then 10:30 one night before I go to bed and I'm reading a book, I get the call from a doctor. Eric, this is Dr. John at Providence Rhode Island Hospital. Your brother's in a coma right now. He just suffered an overdose. And I just said, what are you talking about? What? No. He's been good for 2.5.
No way. No way.
Like, you
You're
might
the
have
wrong-
Brendan, you might have the wrong person.
Yeah.
I legitimately,
Yeah.
and then when he rumbled off the facts, lived and found, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Like that, your
Yes.
life turned.
Yes. And my parents were away in the Bahamas with my younger brother.
Jesus.
So I had to call them and let them know. And the scream that I heard from my mother when I called her,
Primal. From the gut.
yeah.
Like a
And
wounded animal.
that was so we went to the hospital in the ICU, and the doctor comes in and says, listen, he's
Too far gone.
yeah. And me myself, I said, no, doc. I can remember saying, I never forget this, doc. No offense, but this is my brother.
Yeah.
This isn't your
you
brother.
don't
This
know.
isn't your son. You need to give him a few more days.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. And eventually, 8-9 days later, we said our goodbye. So that was the beginning, okay?
Yeah.
And then after that, I went into a little bit of a state of depression. Yeah.
How could you not?
Yes. Like how? Why?
Right,
How am
right.
I going to go on?
Yeah.
Birthdays, holidays, they're so
Yeah.
hard.
They suck.
And then one day, my younger brother said, Eric, you're never gonna believe what happened last night. And I'm like, what? He goes, I had a dream. Brendan was in this dream. And when my brother overdosed, he was in a car in a parking lot CVS. He overdosed. The kids didn't know what to do, so they threw him out of the car. And they
Yeah.
just left him there.
Yeah.
Okay? And so he said he met him in that parking lot. He ran into him, and Brendan said to my younger brother, Evan, listen, I just want to let you know, I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you to be mad. I want you to be happy that you knew me for 25 years. Okay? Be happy. And just let all my friends down the Cape know that I'm happy that they've connected with you.
Wow.
And when I heard that it helped me.
It gave you a little.
And so now I want to carry on his legacy, his message, by going out and spreading the awareness
Well,
more.
We thank you for that. We thank you.
And just doing as he was doing my service to families,
Yeah.
to people struggling. Like this is my recovery right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Talking to you about
Yeah.
this, going and talking to kids,
Sure.
school. That's my recovery.
Good.
That's how I deal with it now. And my family, where we don't really look down on the little things anymore.
Yeah.
It's like we
You're there.
don't take life for granted.
So how long has it been now?
It's been 2 years.
2 years, so
It's been
both,
2
both,
years,
yeah,
yeah.
my son died on March 23rd.
And so same week, March 19th.
Wow. Wow.
March
Same
19th.
week, we share that bond. I have never asked someone to come on this show
Yeah.
without vetting them, because there are a lot of people that want to come and speak, and some of them are, not doing too well themselves. But I cannot thank you enough for coming on this morning.
I appreciate you having me.
And I know now, from just meeting you this one time, that we'll hopefully, if you have time, we'll have you come and speak to the children of Methuen Public Schools, whether it's a health class, whether it's at the 7th grade at the Timony or 8th grade at the Timony, and share your story over and over again. I want to thank you all. We deal with very difficult, very dark issues and subjects, but there's hope today. There's hope today that if you hear Eric's story, and you've heard mine before, and you'll hear it again, and you're going to hear it again until we beat down this beast. We don't know what the answer is, but we know that what we've done so far is not enough. If one student is using Xannies, if one student is experimenting with Percocet or dope, that's one too many, because it could be your boy or your daughter, and that's what we got through today. Most importantly, Eric shared about his family. You're not alone. I just spoke to a mother last night. We had a very intimate conversation about what to do, what's the next stage. This is how it is. We try to reach out and help each other. So we may not save the world, we're not going to save anyone, but we're gonna help them, and maybe they'll have their dreams, and they'll be able to accomplish their dreams. So I thank the Daddario family for what they do with Gosnold, which has a wonderful reputation. And that with people that are warriors in the community that will not stay silent. So even though it's not a happy topic, there's hope here. There's truth here, and that's because Methuen Public Schools does not shy away. We're trying to look directly, and it's not easy because schools can only do so much. We need help. We need you as the families. We have the support of the school committee. We have always had the support of the superintendent. We work together with the police, the departments now, the health department, the health classes with Mr. Osgood, with Mr. Curran, math, with the sports. Mr. Barden, the principal. We're working together and trying to do more joint activities. We have Jackie Rubino here, who runs the thing at the SAD. We have all the advisors in the other schools. I can't name them all, but we're not working so much in isolation because we can't do this alone.
All right.
And the families, if you're struggling, 978-273-4812. Phone call away. I don't have the answers for you, but there's a voice of experience. And there's a voice of love. And so today, I thank you again, and we'll be seeing each other and talking again. Thank you so much for watching Let's Talk with Dean Brouder, and thanks Dave Shaheen and all the students that work here at Methuen High School. Thank you so much.